Never been more. Spreading your word, doing more. We have victory in every war. Yeah, and we'll teach the gospel of Christ. Yeah, sing yeah. Who we are, people of more. We are the family of God, striving to be where we are the people of God, and we are ready to receive our King. We'll sing, yeah, Christ our Lord. We are people of more. Say, we are people of more. We will learn more. Yeah. Somebody better help us love. Never been more. Spreading your word, doing more. We have victory in every war. Yeah, and we'll teach the gospel of Christ. Yeah, sing yeah. Who we are, people of more.
Good evening.
How's everybody doing today?
This is 7 after 7.
Yep.
I am one of the hosts, Brother Chris Stevens.
And I am Brother Joshua Williams.
I'd like to welcome y'all back. We got 2 episodes 2 weeks in a row.
Yep.
That might be a record.
We are back. As we promised you guys, we are going to continue to bring you these interesting shows, and we're going to try to continue to get better, bring you better topics, and analyze the things that we talk about as well.
Try to, anyway.
Yes.
We are 2 Christian men that enjoy rambling about subjects that we may not have all the facts on.
Yeah, well, we may not have a whole lot of information.
We try to do our research.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
A little research.
So like we always do, we start off with the topic about what we did last Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
Topic that we talked about. We've been going through this catfish series,
Mm-hmm.
and the last topic. Let's go through all of them. You think that's good?
Let's do it.
All right. Well,
It's part
the
of
the catfish series.
Mm-hmm.
The whole idea behind the catfish series is just looking at things that people believe to be true.
Mm-hmm.
They look true. A lot of people agree that it's real, but God says otherwise.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the whole idea behind the catfish series. And with the first lesson that we looked at was the biblical church.
Yes.
That was the first thing that we looked at. Does the Bible, the Word of God, speak about what the church looks like?
Mm-hmm.
The characteristics of the church. We looked at that in the first lesson. Then the second lesson we talked about, does God care about your political preference?
Oh.
We examined that.
Mm-hmm.
God cares about us seeking Him first and doing His will.
Yeah.
The third lesson we talked about death, and then this last lesson we talked about this week was homosexuality.
Mm-hmm.
What the world sees as being real, what they believe about it, and what the Bible has to say about it.
Mm-hmm.
And I know there's a lot of things out there to try to counsel out what God says about the issue at hand. A lot of people say that the Bible is antiquated, so therefore it means nothing.
Yeah.
But yet we have some of the same people who will state things from the Declaration of Independence and all these other older forms of law, or they still stand, but the Bible doesn't. The Bible speaks on that. I not only spoke on what God says about it, but I also talked about how we should look at it as Christians, because a lot of times the reason why this is such a big issue between the world and the church is because homosexuality is something that is in the minority of what you see people engaged in as far as sin is. And it's easy, I believe that it's easy for people to point out things that they don't do. And so when you look at a group of people in a congregation and they can say, you know what, none of us are engaged in homosexuality, so now let's make it something that is disgusting, something that we can't get, we can't stand to look at, but then we can be engaged in our sins because it's more common for us to be engaged in the sins.
Powerful.
And so that's what I want to get us out of the mindset to where we look at it like that, because they're in sin just like everybody else. Yes, it's a sin against your body, but it's a sin. And the key verse in that, 1 Corinthians 6:9-11, I want to point that out. The conclusion of the lesson was, and such were some of you. You know, Jesus has set us free from a lot of things. He set me free from a lot of things.
Yeah, me too.
There have been things in my life that I know that I've struggled with and felt like I couldn't come out of. And because of God, because of what He has given us through His Son, I was able to overcome those things. Sometimes I felt trapped. Sometimes I felt like giving up, because I'm like, I don't want to do what I'm doing, but I'm doing it.
Yeah.
Here I am again in the same situation, doing that thing that I don't want to do. And, you know, He gives us freedom through Him, through Jesus. And we have that, and people need to know that, and we need to spread that message in love. Yeah. So the Catfish series is pretty good. We might have to do a volume 2 of the Catfish series, because there's a lot of different topics that we can touch on. Maybe we could do it every 2 quarters or something. I don't know. Yeah. We'll look at that. But I remember the last time we spoke, he was like, hey, let's do another episode Sunday. And I was like, man, you might want to wait until next Wednesday. And lo and behold, man, a lot of stuff has happened.
A lot has transpired over the weekend.
Yeah.
A whole lot.
Heavy stuff.
Yes. And again, we try to stay out of the political range. That's out of our league, but some things we will speak about, but we won't consider ourselves any association with politics or whatnot, just to make that clear to everybody.
We're not pushing our own agendas here. I don't think so.
But we will speak on some issues. And the big issue that happened this weekend in Charlottesville, South Carolina. Is that correct? Or North Carolina?
It was in Virginia.
Charlottesville, Virginia.
It was in Virginia.
Yes, Charlottesville, Virginia.
Yeah.
And man,
there were people protesting. Someone decides that they're going to run a car down the street and run over some folks. What they did not expect was for there to be other cars parked on the street. They end up hitting another car. One person, they got jammed in between there. One person died. Then they reversed out. People are chasing them. I believe they caught the guy. And it just so turns out, I was seeing on Sunday evening, the guy that they caught that did it was at the rally where the people were carrying the tiki torches, or whatever you call those things, which is very silly. But he was there. They had a picture of him involved in that rally.
Wow.
And you know, first thing, I mean, like I said last time, I'm taking a fast from social media, but I can just imagine that Facebook was pretty overflowed with opinions and probably a little bit of hate.
Yeah, I think more so stemmed after what transpired with the leadership of the country.
Yeah.
With what was said there, I think more people had more care and interest about what the leadership
he was saying
said.
There's good people on both sides. Yeah.
His initial statement Saturday, I don't recall what it was, but it didn't leave a sense of a good taste in people's mouths about the direction in which he felt about it. It left a lot of uncertainty of how he felt about the people of the United States of America. It just a lot of unanswered questions. But to me, I wasn't surprised by it, to be honest. No. I was not surprised by
that's exactly what I want to talk
response.
about. Oh, his response, yeah. I mean, he's not God. I don't look to him. I don't look to our president for guidance. I look to God for that.
Yeah.
I'm not. That's not my source. He is in the form of leadership, so we gotta respect him. God also calls for us to pray for him, not pray on him. But I was gonna say I wasn't shocked by the actions. I really wasn't shocked by the actions, and I think that in our age that we live in today, to where something can happen overseas, somewhere where it takes 12 hours to fly, something can happen there in the next 5 minutes, and we will know about it minutes after it happens because of social media.
Social media.
And all it does is it puts like a microscope on the evil that's happening in the world, and then all of a sudden we blow it up. It's like this kind of stuff happens every day. It may not happen in your town every day. It may not happen in your city every day. It happens every single day.
Yes.
You know,
Somewhere.
and sometimes the media uses this to try to get us to fight with each other and keep this whole thing alive. I mean, it's all about making money.
Yeah.
But this stuff happens every day. It's not new. It's really not new.
Yeah.
It's
been happening for years. It happened way before we was ever born.
It's been happening.
Yeah.
I mean, people are shocked that people are ran over by cars. People are steamrolled. You know, people. This stuff happens, and I'm not trying to be insensitive to the people, the families of people who have lost a loved one, or people who were ran over. But this happens all the time. And the thing that we have to realize is, no ideology that we can come up with is going to fix the problem. The only way to fix this issue of hate is with God.
It's the only way.
I think that's it. If we had a little bit, I think that the way to fix that would be God. I mean, we're always going to have disagreements, but God is the middleman to where we can say, here's what I think about it. I disagree with you. You disagree with me. Let's see what God has to say about it.
That's good.
We got to be able to sit down at the table and do that.
You know, let me bring it. I guess going kind of out of the order in which we wrote this down, because what you mentioned in that, bringing God into it, kind of makes me think about this article that was written by Radically Christian article.
Great website.
Great website.
Yeah.
So the whole protest thing that was happening Saturday was about a statue, a monument, right, of Robert E. Lee, right? Yeah. So some were protesting for it not to come down, and I'm not sure even if others were protesting for it to come down, but there was a protest and there was a counter protest, right? The Radically Christian article was about, do you love monument more than you love God, or was it more than you love your neighbor? More than you love God?
Yeah, more you love your neighbor.
More than you love your neighbor. Yeah. And that's so, man, that for us as Christians.
Powerful headline.
That's a powerful headline. You know, believe it or not, we live in a time, we have always lived in a time where, and I hate to get into this issue of where there's predominantly white churches and predominantly black churches.
All right, I'm out of here. No, it exists. But it's a real thing.
It does exist. And believe it or not, I'm not sure how some of those churches or some of our congregations are set up, and if some have strong, more political opinions than they have biblical opinions, or how do they look at that? How do they set those two things apart? How do you set your politics apart from the Bible, and how do you not see, or do you see yourself leaning more towards politics as a priority, or do you see yourself leaning towards the Bible as a priority? That's just a question I think about when I think about the difference in those two cultures.
I will say this. I think we have to, as Christians, when we're growing, we have to get to a point to where we are able to change our focus, to where our focus isn't grounded, to where it's on spiritual things, to where I don't live for the here and now, I live for later. When I go to work, I don't work for who I'm employed for. I'm working for God. Whenever I go to school, I don't study and do my best because it's going to make the teachers happy. I do it because it's witnessing to the world that Christians do things right. When you have God, you're able to exist down here in a way. Everything that we do ought to be so that we can glorify God and be with Him one day for an eternity. I think we can. I don't have to put myself in a box and say I'm a Democrat, I'm a Republican, I'm in a Tea Party, because when Donald Trump says something that falls in line with what God has to say,
Yeah,
I totally agree with him.
Yeah, exactly.
When he says something that is against what God has to say, I disagree with him.
Exactly.
I'm a Christian. You know, when there's time for election to roll around now, I'm not looking at whether or not somebody is a man or a woman, whether they're black or white. I'm now looking at, because I know that, we talking about that just tonight in Bible class. There's no Jew or Greek. There's no male or female. How much do they line up with what God has to say? That's what I'm more concerned with.
Gotcha.
And I know and I understand what people are going to say. They could say something and not do it. Yes, that's true. But I can only go by what they present to me at that time and pray that something happens that is according to the will of God. But we have to be focused on heavenly things, I think.
Yeah, you know what that's a sign of?
What?
That's a sign of maturity.
Yeah.
Because everybody at, your age of 32, 31.
30, I just turned 31.
Everybody at the age of that don't think like that. They don't think about how can I line up my vote for a candidate who is close to what I believe in a standpoint from the Bible.
And,
that's a great way to think.
Yeah, I mean, it's really, and in a way, it's kind of sad because I know a lot of people voted for Obama just because he's black.
True. And again,
and Hillary,
at the same countertop, yes, a lot of people didn't vote for him.
Yeah, because he was black. Exactly. Yeah, that's right. Not to say that, and I'm just like looking at what was presented. Well, we won't go into that.
Yeah.
I voted for who I voted for based on it, and neither one of the. I looked at how they lined up with God, how their demeanors were, what could be closest to.
Yeah.
I don't think we'll ever have a candidate that can be totally God-centered because they won't do well in popularity.
Yeah, but that goes back, just like you said, the most important thing for us as Christians that we realize that our lives is not to be lived for what you said,
for
the
here.
Yeah. We have to be getting ready for something that's so much bigger, so much better, something that's unseen, something that's unexpected, something that our eyes and our hearts cannot imagine.
Yeah. This world is not our home.
That's to be with God, and that's what I'm living for. And for that same reason, that's why I can't allow myself to look at the hatred that's been going on, to treat another, person of a different race, treat them bad just because of everybody else's, what's going on in the world. I can't allow myself to do that.
You had to. Josh, he took the kids out on Sunday because we had some things to deal with. I didn't want to necessarily sugarcoat it. I didn't go overboard with it, but Josh missed out on this point. I brought this out Sunday. People who are involved with evil, they approve of each other.
Yeah. That's true.
They approve of each other. I'm not shocked that there's a group of people who think this way.
Yeah, I'm not.
Why is the world? If we read God's word, we see this is what people do.
Yeah.
When somebody does something that is against the will of God, and they continue this thing, and then all of a sudden God turns them over to this debased mind, right? His mind doesn't work properly. It can't make proper decisions. They are in one accord with each other. They have unity. I am not shocked by this at all.
There was, even in the Bible, there have been issues of race.
Yes, most definitely.
I looked up, just one of those issues. It was in regards to a marriage. I want to say Rebecca was her name. But Rebecca in Genesis chapter 27, Esau's wife, one of Esau's wives, right? So this article that I was looking at, it explained that she wasn't mad because Esau had more than one wife, because at the time there was allowed to have more than one wife. I wouldn't say allowed. Yeah. I wouldn't say allowed, but they had more than one wife. And Rebecca wasn't mad that Esau had more than one wife. She was mad because of the wife that he was taking was a different ethnicity than what she was, right? So there has always been issues in the Bible of people not liking somebody because of their different ethnicity, different race, different background. There was even a piece in there where there were two types of people. I want to say they were
You look at this,
the
the
Gileads,
Samaritans
right?
too.
Huh? Yeah, the Samaritans, right?
Yeah,
That's what you said.
Samaritans. Yeah.
Yeah, plenty of examples of,
Then you look at
the Samaritans.
Then you got people that disagree based on worship. The
Yeah.
woman at the well with Jesus.
Yeah,
Well, we worship our guys in this way. Y'all worship this way. There's always gonna be two groups against each other.
and always, and that's in a way, you know, that's small stuff in the church that we have to stop fighting about.
Yeah.
How we worship, our worship preference. That shows, you know, so much division.
There
you know?
is a powerful sermon. Humble is the Way just uploaded it on YouTube. Shoot, I can't remember the name of the sermon. It was here recently this week. Well, I saw it this week. I'm gonna have to. I shouldn't have brought it up, but I haven't read it. But
You have to send that to me.
yeah, it talks about those things like that. But yeah, there's always gonna be.
Always.
There's been race issues forever. It's gonna be that way.
Yep.
Because as long as until God comes back, there's gonna be evil here.
Yeah. Evil.
Um,
Always gonna be black on black crime. There's always gonna be white on white
Yeah,
crime.
it's
always
here.
gonna be black versus white. It's always
evil,
gonna be
evil is
issues.
evil. Evil people are gonna do what evil people do.
Yeah.
Evil,
Evil.
and think of more ways to do it. You know.
And that's as heartbreaking as it is. You know, we all need to have that mindset, like we said time and time again earlier. This world is not our home.
Yeah, and I'm not saying be numb to what's going on.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is don't let the media, don't let what people put on Facebook cause you to say something that God isn't going to be pleased with.
Exactly.
I've done it before. I've done it before, and I see this, and it makes something burn within you because I'm like, they don't like me. And then I got to remember, and I know people ain't going to like this, I'm not just black. I'm not just a man.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a Christian.
Christian.
First and foremost, I'm a Christian, man.
Yeah.
And nobody can change that.
Yeah. And guess what? Whether the world knows that or not, you and God know that.
Yeah.
You know, whether people you meet on a day-to-day basis who don't know you, whether the encounters that we have, when face-to-face with people who will blatantly mistreat you, not without even knowing who you are.
Yeah.
Whether they know that or not,
Well, they'll see it
gotta
through
go
our
on by-
actions.
Yeah, they gonna see it through
That's
our
how
actions.
that's how people can verify. I remember kids used to wear generic clothes in school. I was a real mean person, and I made fun of people for wearing fake FUBU. You know, they had the FUBU with the PUBU.
Oh, wow.
It looked like an F, but it wasn't an F.
I didn't even know they had
Yeah,
that.
it was a FUBU. And yeah, it's not nice. But anyway, you can tell a real Christian from a fake Christian by their actions. You know, and that's why I saw this other article where this man who is I think he sings jazz music. He has, just by him initiating a relationship with people who are in the Ku Klux Klan, he has caused 200 Klansmen to leave because he just simply sat down with them and let him know who he is.
About that.
Yeah,
I read about
he
that
just
also.
simply sat down with him and let him know who he is. Like, that's the thing with racism. When racism is met with a face-to-face interaction, and you just tell somebody who you are, and then also allow them to state who they are, listen to what they have to say.
Exactly.
They don't believe what they believe for no reason.
Yeah.
Listen, so that you can understand, and maybe you can come to some common
So
ground.
the worst enemy of everything is ignorance.
Yes.
Just simply not knowing.
Believing in something, not knowing, and that's what gets me. I just took a world history class, and we learned about America fighting against the Nazis. Right? It shocks me and boggles the mind that somebody would carry a flag with a swastika on it. Like, there's people in this country who died to get that stuff out of other countries, and you carry it around as I don't understand. It's just like,
Yeah, I
you
understand
have you not read a history book? Like, that whole movement was evil.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
racism is something that's not going anywhere. It's existed forever, man. It's going nowhere.
Nope.
So
No time soon.
instead of feeding the monster, why don't you just help out the cause? Put some God into these conversations.
Yes.
When people are going back and forth at each other on Facebook, put some God into the conversation.
Yeah.
What would God say about this? Does God see race?
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
make people think about that.
Yeah.
People who are Christians will stop and then they'll be like, you know what? They're right. You know?
So I guess it sounds like we need a lot more Christians standing up.
Yeah.
We need to use that platform on Facebook for the purposes of the kingdom, to let God be glorified through social media.
Exactly.
We have to do a better job at that, man.
And then another issue I had down was the people pulling down the statue in Durham. Okay, I understand that this statue represents something that is racist. You're breaking the law.
Yeah.
You're breaking the law, man. How can you go out there? These people pull down the statue, they start kicking it, spitting on it, giving the statue the middle finger, and I'm just like, what in the world is going on? And like, this is patriotism.
What statue did they take down in Durham?
I don't know what statue it was, because when they pulled it down, the statue folded in half. Whoever made it, it was cheap. Or maybe it was just heavy and it bent it. But I was just like, this isn't right. This is breaking the law.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand what the statue represents. I understand what backs up, but you're breaking the law. We have to be obedient to the law because God calls us to be obedient to the law.
Nah, you know, there's the statue of Robert E. Lee in Charlottesville. Now, I'm told, you know, from an article that I read, Robert E. Lee didn't even believe in statues. He didn't believe in stuff like that, having statues and monuments, because his thought was that it was just gonna create this what has been created already.
Yeah.
That it was gonna be some good for it and some bad for it. He thought it was gonna stand for more bad than it would stand for good. So he himself didn't even want a statue or monuments made. You know, and they're his words from the article that I read. And that's information I'm sure that people are lacking.
Yeah, not privy to. But it is what it is.
Yeah.
We should not allow race to divide us.
No.
We shouldn't.
As Christians, we should.
There are different cultural things. Sometimes those cultural differences are used to put us in a box and to demean us. You know, we talk about black people eating watermelon and fried chicken, or white people can't dance, or Mexicans pile into cars, and you know, all those things like that. There are differences between our cultures, but we don't have to buy into the stereotypes. We just need to be able to say, you know what, you do some things different, and I do some things different. Tell me why you do it, how you do it. I'll tell you why I do it, how I do it. And as long as you ain't doing something that's going to cause you to lose your soul, man, be you.
Be you. There you go.
I mean, this country is a big melting pot where we put all these different things together. You know, Tex-Mex. You know, it's awesome. You know, it's not genuine Mexican food. You know, but it's awesome. This Americanized Chinese food is awesome. I'm just hungry right now.
You know, there's just some examples of how, you know, stuff can be brought together.
Yeah.
You know, bring it together, make it something good, make it stand for something positive. In regards to, you know, it's important, man. I like doing this show because we get a chance to mention what we should be doing as Christians. Why is it important that you stand for what is right? Why is it important that you let your light shine as Christians? Why is it important that you just simply live the life that is pleasing and acceptable to God? Because there's so much going on in the world, man. So much going on in the world. We stated this on last show. We had a lot to talk about last show about how much is going on in the world with the North Korea situation. Which I think that has kind of quieted down a little bit.
Well,
I'm sure it'll be brought back up.
You notice how when it's something that we can't readily overcome, something big comes.
Yeah.
Zika virus.
Yeah.
It distracts you from something else bigger.
Some distraction.
I mean, those people's jobs in media is to make headlines and to get people to watch their shows, and that's what's going to happen. Like I said, I'm not shocked. I'm not shocked by any of it.
Then, like we said earlier, we can't get distracted by that. We can't let that take us away from our goal as Christians and still trying to save souls.
Yeah, and you don't have to even say a lot to make a big impact. Exactly. What if somebody posted something that is hateful in content, and you just use the wow icon when usually you like that person's comment all the time, and then they see that you put a wow, it might make them stop and be like, you know what, after reading this, I see why such and such put a wow on there.
Yeah.
I know it sounds simple, but you don't have to do much to make an impact, man.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to speak up. We can't be afraid to speak up.
Exactly.
We have a responsibility. You know, and speaking of good food, as we were just talking about, we're gonna have some good food coming up at this church picnic on Sunday.
I am excited. About the picnic. It's gonna be our first year at the Avenue G Church of Christ. So we're excited about it, man. I hope we have some fun. You know, our wives are gonna be out of town.
Yeah.
But they say they're coming back for the picnic because, from what I'm told, because we won't be able to handle it by ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which I think is absolutely false.
We'll show 'em.
But I think they just want to come back so they won't miss out on this good food. You cooking, I'm told, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna cook.
Okay.
Hopefully, I won't burn up stuff.
All right.
I got the burgers and stuff, and then we'll see how it turns out.
Because you know, in our culture, we will talk about you.
Yeah, we will. That is our culture. If you mess up the grilling, you're gonna get talked about.
Talk about you.
It won't be burnt. I'll make sure it got some Lowry seasoning salt on there. We'll it'll be nice.
Yeah.
It'll be nice. I think it'll be good for us to come together and just fellowship with each other at the park. I'm looking forward to it, man.
Yeah. I know we mentioned it briefly that I wasn't in service. We had our first. I want to put an official title as children's church, but we preached a different lesson to our young people, 12 and under. I want to say. We had about 16 to 20 kids in there.
Yeah.
And it was awesome, man. We were engaged. We like I said, I presented a lesson on Noah and his family in regards to the significance of the flood, and brought it home to them. And we sung some songs. Young men, Kendon, Nazel, and Noah and Sati got up and we each, sung a song, and we prayed, and that was how we ended things. So it was pretty awesome, fun experience for them.
Did you talk about the giant monsters that helped them build the boat?
Nope.
No?
We didn't talk about that.
No. That movie is terrible, by the way.
Read that in the Bible.
Whoever made that Noah movie, they should never make a movie again.
I was so surprised by that. I'm like, what are these giants rock? Like, what is that?
It came out of nowhere. I think it came from the book of Enoch. I'm gonna have to look at that again. But whoever did that movie, they need to be sued for false advertising. That ain't the Noah story.
Yeah, they put their complete own spin on it because it was too modernized. They made it too.
They might as well threw Medea in there. Have Medea pop out.
Way too modernized.
It was dumb.
Yeah, it was.
It was dumb.
It's off the wall.
Might as well put E.T. on the boat. But
that's all for tonight, man. I just had one simple thing. My closing remarks, man. Man, from this great movie, Moana, man. She said something so powerful in this movie. Remember who you are. Know who you are. People, Christians, know who you are. You belong to God. You're the people of God. You're part of the family of God. Know who you are each and every day. And let it be shown by your love, by your actions.
Pixar is better.
That's all right. But my Moana movie, I'm telling you. Know who you are.
Whatever.
That's my closing mark.
Go Pixar. Have a good night.
We are the family of God, striving to be what we are the people of God, and we are ready to receive our King. For Christ our Lord, we are people of more. Say we are people of more. We will